How much damage are you doing? Is your character fully enchanted and gemmed out? What is the best way to figure all of this out? Well, of course, it's with add-ons, and you cannot have WoW without add-ons. Now, some people might use more, some people might use less, or fewer of them rather, grammar. But add-ons are by no mistake a cornerstone of WoW's UI, or user interface. And it's basically how we engage with all the information that we have on the screen. Sure, you can use no add-ons if you would like it so, and that's perfectly fine. Or you want to optimize your gameplay in some way, make it more efficient, smoother, with the influx of information that you have on your screen, and that's what you do with add-ons. And to keep the smoothness of your operations 100% all the time, you also need CurseForge. CurseForge is essentially how you'll be able to keep all of your add-ons up to date, managed properly, install and reinstall like super easy, super quick. You don't even need to do much of anything. Click the link down in the description. You'll be, of course, supporting us because CurseForge, thank you guys, are sponsoring the video. And you'll be able to download the app right onto your computer, install it, it will detect your game, and then you can just search for your add-on of choice from the list in today's video, install it, and then every time you load up your PC, the next day when you're starting up WoW, you can click the little update button, and it will update all of your add-ons instantly and fast. Thank you, CurseForge, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into the add-ons that you need. The best of the best, the creme de la creme, the bee's knees of the best add-ons that you want will start with BetterCharacterPanel. You've seen this in our streams and in our videos, mostly our streams, is when you open your character panel, you will see all of this text here is like there's an enchant missing there, you have an enchant of that quality there, there's a rank 2 that you want to upgrade to rank 3. All of that information is basically in the character panel with this add-on. It helps you keep up your character up to date. Especially if you're playing alts, it's going to be really good to make sure that your alt is fully decked out, especially if you're in a guild or with a group that's trying to push content, whether it is plus 15s or plus 20 or plus 25s or heroic or mythic rating, doesn't really matter. Having enchants in all of your consumables really quick and up to date can be a chore because there's quite a few of them, but with this add-on is very simple. You know what you're missing, you know where to get it, get BetterCharacterPanel. The next one, as always, is Weakauras, because Weakauras are essentially how your face processes the information that happens in the game. Now, the devs have done a pretty good job at making the game so that you need fewer and fewer Weakauras as time progresses, but there are still a couple that we would recommend you take. First of all, M+ Super is what you want to get, especially if you do a lot of Mythic Plus dungeons. This Weakaura pack has an amazing assortment of icons and flashes and everything that you need to know in dungeons when things happen, when spells are being cast. All of that stuff is basically done with this. And take this opportunity to show you how to get Weakauras. Once you have installed the actual add-on through CurseForge, of course, you will go to wago.io, the website. You can see the little search box at the top, type in the add-on of your choice, in this case M+ Super, and you'll load up the add-on. You'll obviously have a lot of options, get the one that you want, this one, click it, nice. And then you'll have, wait like a second or two options to import the add-on. There's also a desktop application app that we're not going to go into this video. Unless you guys want to hear about it in a different video, you can let us know in the comment section down below. But you can just click on copy import string, and your computer essentially will copy the string. You'll go into the game, and once you're in the game with the add-on installed, of course, type /WA. It will load up your Weakauras add-on. Then you will see an import option. You can either see it here or there, and it's all fine and dandy. Click the import option and it will open a big box where you can paste the copied string that you have from the website and then actually import it. It will start to load up the add-on, and then boom, it's on your screen. You can make other adjustments to it. We don't really make a lot of adjustments to it, but that's fine. And then just set it up as you like. Alongside this, another Weakaura that you guys have been consistently asking us about, that we put in every add-ons video for years, and you keep asking for it, but there we go, Rateability Timeline. Now, we call it Rateability Timeline because there is definitely this Weakaura, but there's multiple versions of it. It doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you use one of the top 2 or 3. I cannot vouch for the rest of them. I've been using about 2 different versions and they all do perfectly. What this does is this shows you the abilities and mechanics of a boss fight. It's usually only for bosses, it's definitely for raids, but also dungeon bosses as well. Whenever there's a big cleave, a big soak, a big debuff, a big transition phase, or anything like that, this add-on will show it to you on a scrolling text down to the side. This is my personal favorite way of dealing with mechanics in any type of content. This, of course, works off the back of DBM and BigWigs. We'll talk about that in a second. So you'll need those as well, but this essentially can give you all the information that you need about upcoming mechanics, so long as you know what they do, and it helps you keep your UI a little bit cleaner. I personally keep mine a little bit to the side, but you can choose where you want to have yours, and of course, copy import from Weakaura and import it in the game. And the last style of WeakAuras that you can get is Publics. We've been fans of Publics for a very long time. I personally have been using it, and you'll be able to see it on stream on pretty much all of the classes out there. Publics UIs are, in my opinion, right now, the best UIs that you can have for your spec. It basically shows you your spec breakdown with the cooldowns, your rotational abilities, your procs, your resource bar, all of that stuff really nicely packed in the middle of the screen so that it frees as much space as possible on your screen so that it's not cluttered as well. And I personally enjoy that because I like my screen to be as clear as possible because I like the game. I like to see the aesthetics. And a couple of things that I use to set this up. Once you've imported into the game, personally with my setup of my health bars and all of that, I go to the vertical axis and change it to -70, and the group scaling, I change it to 0.75 because they're a little bit too big for my monitor, but you can adjust this based on your monitor's resolution so that they're maybe the exact right size for you. Moving on to the next most important one that you should get is Plater nameplates. Specifically, we use Plater right now, and not only do we use Plater, we also use Sunshade's profile. Sunshade has actually worked very hard, tirelessly on this profile, and you can simply just go once again to wago.io. There's a link also in the description with her profile Plater. You can click it, import it, go into Plater, and you go into Plater once you've installed it by typing /Plater in chat. It will load a lot of information. I know, it's a lot, but what you're interested in is profiles. And in the profile section, you'll be able to import profiles from other people, and similar to WeakAuras, you will paste the code here that you've got from wago.io, then it will import. It will ask you if you want to reload your UI. You will want to reload your UI, and blammo, that's Plater installed on your computer, and you can make additional changes to its graphical aesthetics. You will see that personally, I use a different style of bars than Sunshade has in her footage and the Marcelian has in his footage. And the way to do this, if you want to make these types of changes or if you want to keep it the way it is, it's fine. I just change the bar texture to flat, and I just make a little bit of contour, a little bit of a stroke at the end, a little bit thicker, so that I can just see it a little bit better. But that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty much the same. Just import a profile and you will be Gucci. We've been getting a lot of questions about this on stream as well. There is another add-on specifically if you're doing Mythic Plus, and that is OmniCD, which shows your party's cooldowns. They can be defensive or offensive or utility cooldowns as well. Whatever you like, this essentially shows them next to their health bars if you have the party frame similar to raid style frames, which is something that we've been talking for over a long time. That's something that you can enable through the editing mode, but we're not going to go into an editing mode profile change because we do have more changes coming into 10.1.5, and we don't want to make a profile for you guys that will have issues. Either way, you can install this, and next to your party frames, you will see everybody's cooldowns. You can go into the actual OmniCD by typing /OmniCD in chat, and you can choose what type of cooldowns you want to track. You don't have to track everything. There's also quite a few, and maybe you don't want to track what the add-on gives you by default. Maybe you want to track only one. You can go search through this section right here and choose from the list of the spells from everybody's spec and class and whatever, what you want to track, and then just enable it. It does a really good job at, let's say if you're a priest and you want to use Power Infusion on a specific DPS, you can track when their cooldown is being popped, and then you can just pop Power Infusion on them. Or if you're a tank or still a healer, you can essentially track when people are using their defensives, if people are ready for a new pull, stuff like that. It just gives you really nice information so that you can time your cooldown properly for a much smoother Mythic Dungeon experience. And to go hand in hand with the raid ability timeline Weakaura that we mentioned before, you definitely need DBM Deadly Boss mods or BigWigs and the LittleWigs pack. Sunshade and Marcelian use Deadly Boss mods, which is pretty simple. You just install it. You never really have to touch it ever again. It just gives you all of the notifications on your screen whenever you have to dodge something, whenever you have to soak something, whenever you have to run away. This is pretty good, pretty self-explanatory. Personally, I like to use BigWigs and LittleWigs. BigWigs, they're essentially a pack, or a pair of add-ons rather. BigWigs is for raids and LittleWigs is for dungeons. The reason I like to use these is because they're a little less invasive on my screen, and that's what I want, because realistically, I only really want to track the mechanics that happen through raidability timeline and not through the actual add-on. And raidability timeline only works with one of these two add-on packs. When I use my BigWigs, just typing /BigWigs in chat, I move my action bars or my anchor bars. You can get them through this setting right here, and I just move them to the side with all the messages as well to keep the middle side of my screen clear as possible so I can see the mechanics. I have my WeakAuras in the middle. I don't need extra bars to fill my screen with too much information. That's personally my setup. You can choose to change it however way you like to, and you'll be able to see and respond to every mechanic ever that's going to be made in the future. And of course, you won't be able to play any kind of PvE or PvP without details, because knowing how much damage you do is 50% of playing World of Warcraft. Details is pretty self-explanatory. Just install it through CurseForge. There's a plethora of things that you can do to customize it as well. I personally like to keep it a little bit on the left-hand side with two windows open, which you can create an additional window through its actual options menu. And I personally like to change it aesthetically a little bit different. If you want to have the look that I have, what you do is you go into the options of details. First of all, you want the skins in the skins option tab to be the WoW interface skins. That's basically, to kind of coincide with the Blizzard UI, kind of have that graphical consistency. And personally, what I like to do is similar to Plater, I want my bars to be flat. I figure out that this color coordination just works the best for me. It's very aesthetically pleasing. That's what I like. The text should be accidental presidency, but I definitely enable the text shadow on all of my detail windows for the name of the player and for the actual damage. I disabled the percent information because that's just a little bit too much. I mean, you can keep it if you want, but I personally disable it. And I also, by going here, activate the option that says always show me. It's a little bit of an ego trip, but if I am essentially a tank in a raid or a healer in a raid or just suck at DPSing and there's like 15 other people that are doing better than me, I still want to know how much damage I am doing. Personally, that's relevant for me because I kind of want to keep track of my performance throughout the fight. But you can also, keep in mind where you are compared to your group. And last but not least, in terms of the best add-ons to have is Simulationcraft. This is just installed. You don't really do anything for this, nothing to set this up. Once you install it, you just have it in the background on the PC. What this does is, and we'll have a simming video for you, by the way, this essentially helps you copy your character's information by typing in chat /simc, and you'll get this wall of text. You will copy all of this text, and what you do with this, you use it to sim your character. You've heard this before from multiple other people. If you want to get the proper information, this is the best way to do it. And you can go to raidbots.com, and depending on what type of sim you want to do, maybe you want to check your top gear or your quick sim, you just paste all that text in this box right here, and then you just run the sims that you want. Once again, we will have a simming guide that's coming out in 1 or 2 days, depending on when you watch this video. It might already be out, and that will go through details on how to actually sim and why that is important. And moving to some quality of life add-ons, these are basically what we use to make our gaming experience better. What we recommend to start with is HandyNotes. HandyNotes is obviously very handy. It shows treasures, glyphs, and all of that stuff, information on your map, which is very important considering that Dragonflight has all sorts of things that you can collect in the world, from treasures from professions to give you profession knowledge to mounts and pets that you might want to farm. HandyNotes essentially is a very good way to kind of figure out exactly at which point on the mini-map, or rather the map, you will find all of this stuff. World Quest list is the next one on the list. See what I did there? This essentially keeps a better organizational system on your World Quest list. If you do want to do World Quest, which you probably might want to do sometime, to be fair, Dragonflight is one of the better times to do World Quest, and you can just filter them properly. You can look for specific ones depending on the rewards, once you zoom out the map enough. And obviously this works for past expansions as well. If you want to farm reputation or anything like that, this is really good. Leatrix Plus is a good all-around add-on to have that gives you a lot of really nice quality of life functions. Personally, I use this to repair automatically and sell all of my junk automatically through the actual options. You can see a lot of other stuff. You can automize a lot of other functions to the game, like instant quest turn-ins and all of that stuff, skipping cutscenes, instant accept invites and things like that. All of this stuff can be done through Leatrix Plus's options. Explore and have fun. AdiBags is something that you will see Sunshade and Marcelian use. I personally don't use them anymore, but AdiBags is definitely a good way to organize your bags and kind of keep track of all of your items in it. Just get it and your bag issues will be gone forever. One thing that you might have been noticing on our streams is the talent Loadout Ex. This add-on particularly lets you make more loadouts on your talents if you have multiple builds, multiple talents for multiple specs on the same class, and is not limited by the 10 total loadouts that you can have per class that Blizzard gives you. And you can just continuously make more and more, especially if you're playing, let's say, a druid and you're playing all specs and you have about 3 or 4 builds on each one. That can get quite messy, but with Talent Loadout X, what you do is once you have your talents set up, you'll still have to import them the other way or just manually select them. You go here and then you just save your talent. You can give it a name, you can choose an icon, and you can just keep on doing this for each build. And once you have all of your builds, you can just double click it and it will load, and you will just apply the changes, and boom, there goes your talent setup. This is a much better way to do the talent loadouts. And speaking of playing alts and a lot of other characters, saved instances is definitely something that you should have. This essentially is just an add-on that tracks all of your progress on your characters in a nice little button on the minimap that you can just hover over, and you'll see which characters has done their weekly event quests, their dungeons, their raid bosses, and all of that. And you can track more and more information than you would ever possibly need through this particular add-on. And speaking of buttons on the mini-maps, a couple of add-ons will add this, if not all of them. You definitely want MBB. This is essentially a mini-map button bag, which gets all of your little icons without having like 10,000 of them, all neatly packed into one icon that you just press, and then you just have this list of all of your add-ons there. It's much easier to do, much easier to manage all of them without making it too messy. Echo Raid Tools is really good for raiding, by the way. If you do like to raid and you do want to, have all of the proper information out there, the benefit of having Echo Raid Tools is that if you do want to do a boss, maybe you're in a pug or maybe you're in a new guild and you're not sure if you'll be able to handle all the mechanics, you can just go to the boss individually and you'll have a list of Weakauras that you can just directly import from the dungeon journal, which is very handy. You don't have to figure out what the Weakaura name is or what boss is it for and go to wago.io. You can just do this from the dungeon journal. Really handy. Mythic Dungeon Tools is of course the equivalent for dungeons. Although this might not give you the Weakauras, it still gives you a lot of options to choose when deciding on how to do the dungeons. Specifically lets you import routes from other people to know which packs you should pull. You can make your own routes and just export them to your friends or to your guildies or anything like that. And this just makes all of the routing be more efficient, and you can just time your keys quicker. And speaking of keys and timing, Radar.io is definitely an add-on that you would like if you want to be invited to groups and invite people in groups and kind of figure out exactly who you should invite, because Radar.io gives you a little bit more information than the basic Blizzard UI on how many dungeons people have done, at what key level they have done it in, and essentially will upload your character profile and your dungeon experience to Radar.io, the website, which, if you've been watching any of our tier lists, you will know that that's usually one of the main sources where we get our data concerning spec performance in Mythic Dungeons as well. And you can just see your own profile with your own progress, what's your ranking on your realm, server, or region, or world, or anything like that. This is very nice if you're interested in that kind of stuff. For all of the profession nerds out there, or if you just want to easily sell stuff in the auction house, because the auction house can get a little bit messy, we recommend you get Auctionator. This is a very old add-on that is still very good up to this day, and I personally love it. You have different tabs that you can do for different activities on your Auctionator. I particularly like to use the selling tab because I like to make gold, and just click this, choose a price, sell it. Easy, so fast, so easy, so simple. Get it right now. And you might also notice that in some of our videos, we have footage from Sunshade that has a different UI layout, and specifically for healing as well, because she does a bunch of healing. She uses VuhDo. A lot of people have been asking us about VuhDo. Personally, I've tried to use it multiple times in the past, and it's just not for me. I hate it. But I do agree VuhDo is an efficient add-on for healers, for people who like it. You can definitely set it up to make healing a lot more efficient. And if you are interested in finding out more about VuhDo and finding out more about very specific add-ons for healers, tanks, dungeons, DPSers, and all that stuff, leave a comment down below and we will make a separate video for that. And with all of these add-ons, you should be able to play the upcoming 10.1.5 and 10.2 patches very smoothly with all the information that you need, make it very efficient, and have all of the stuff in the world. We, of course, haven't included all of the add-ons because we would be here forever, but we do have a lot more add-ons that we can probably share with you if you check our stream on twitch.tv/Marcelian online, and you can hop on our Discord and always ask us out. We usually have an add-on channel just for this. Thank you, CurseForge, once again for sponsoring the video. Check the link down in the description and install CurseForge today because it just makes keeping up all of your add-ons easier. We've been using it since day 0, and it's been the smoothest add-on experience that we've ever had. 0 issues in, I guess we're closing in on 2 years now, maybe 3 years, I cannot even remember. So it's really good. Get it in the link down below. Thank you, patrons, for supporting the content, and we will see you in the next one, everybody. Bye-bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.